to be interviewed.
Thanks
Much
for having
thank you.
me.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
being
thanks
here.
for having me.
We've known each other for what? A long time now, right? It's like
A long
fucking
time. Yeah. When
eight,
when
eight,
when when was
six, seven,
SOR
eight
days?
years. It's
SOR years was
2012,
quick.
2012. So
Yeah.
like at least 8, 9 years.
Yeah. Been a long time. It's been a long time. So yeah, it's interesting. It's been a long road. I've listened to all of the commander chats so far. Followed up on them. Kind of like done my little spiel in my head about like how I
Oh,
feel about
you're
something.
he's,
So it's been good.
he's prepared. So I might have to.
Highly.
I might have to
You
check.
have no idea the level of preparedness that Squirrel gets because he's ridiculous. Okay,
Being prepared is a good thing, but
so
now I
let's
might
just
have
go
to.
with yes. There is a notepad in front of me with topics, and we can
Oh
just
man,
go from there. I'm ridiculous.
I might have to change up the questions now, just so you don't know.
It's fine. Change up the questions. I have topics, so these questions are irrelevant. I'm impossible. I know that.
No, it's a good thing. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Squirrel and game because you do ask questions about like usually like job yada yada in your life, so I'll do that. But we started the gaming standard 13 and a half years ago in Guild Wars 1. We were part previous to that of another gaming community of without giving the name older gamers, and I was a moderator there. Two of the four admins for the gaming standard were admins there, and another one was a moderator. We left and started a smaller gaming community that didn't actually work out. We left there and started SOX. We started in Guild Wars 1. We had League of Legends, a bunch of the Call of Duties as community games underneath us as well, with squads and leaders and officers, etc. We moved to Guild Wars 1 with the intention of me not running the guild, but being just a member, allowing me to kind of take a step back from leadership of a individual game inside of SOX and be more of a and work on the more of the global picture of how SOX ran. That lasted for about uh, 6 months, maybe a year, and then I became one of the guild leaders of SOX. The way the governing structure of SOX works is everyone works in a council. So there's a council of admins, which I'm the lead admin, and then there's the moderator team, which works for the admins, et cetera, et cetera. All the leaders of the communities work together, et cetera, and then all the way down to guild leaders, officers, all the way down. So I am currently the lead admin and the lead guild leader for SOX Guild Wars, Gaming Standards Guild Wars.
And the full name of SOX is
The gaming standard is the community, and all of our games are SOX, and the X is a variable. Okay, meaning it could be anything. So standard of heroes, standard of Ara. They change depending on the game. When we were in Arcage, they had a different name that kind of actually I can't remember what the name of the guild for Arcage is off the top of my head, but they have the first two names of the guild are something, and it start with S and then start with O, and then the X. It can be anything else. Like the SOX EU guild is standard of war, but they don't have to be standard of. They can be anything. So
okay.
that's where the X comes from. That's why the X is always around. It is the standard for us, so it kind of has the ability to
Change
fluctuate and
depending
be
on the
whatever we
game.
need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, be whatever the community needs, really.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
yourself. You
Okay,
personally.
yeah. So interesting. So you tend to ask.
I'm gonna ask you what you do
Go
as
ahead,
your
ask it.
occupation.
Yeah, there you go. I knew you were gonna ask. So yes, yes, I'm in a leadership position. Yes, I've been in a leadership position for a long time. I I was a teacher for 16 years. Actually, when you first got to know me, I was a teacher at the time. And I'm certified to be a principal. I left America in right a month before release of Guild Wars 2. To move to Sydney, been here now since then, obviously, and been a BDM, which is a business development manager. I've run a couple of companies, and currently I run a company with my wife, a marketing company with my wife.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I ask is because, and I'm sure you know, we've been taking a tally of commanders in this game, and thus far, every single commander is in some type of leadership position, whether it's in school, like school government, or just in their work, project manager, supervisor, manager, executives. It's a certain profile of an individual that seems to, want to command or be a commander.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to have that in you. I really do. You have to have that want to lead and the ability to have the skill to do it. So you have to have the drive to want to do it and the skill to be able to do it.
How long have you been
That's,
commanding?
uh, since release, actually beta, obviously. Before that, I still have screenshots we put up every now and then of me with a pin up in or not. We don't have There was no real ostensible pins in beta, but you had a kip kind of running in beta with a bunch of golems running through from Bay to Gary on one of the first betas. So.
Are you the main commander of SOX, correct?
Yeah, I'm our main fight commander. We have so Akirios, or everyone knows his in-game name's Tyrio, and Drayon also command for SOX, and um they alternate days. I tend to be on when there's fights or we need to focus up a little bit more, and I kind of try to run things in the back end when I'm not commanding.
So all in, how many commanders does SOX have?
3 full-time commanders, and then we have a few part-time people that'll tag up here, there, and everywhere. So, yeah, 3 full-time commanders that have active days, and 2 or 3 other guys that rotate in and out and just open pug tag whenever they want to.
And what class do you drive on?
In open field, I will command on a mesmer. On GVGs, I command on a guardian.
Okay.
Fiber.
So do you always drive open field mesmer?
I always do, unless we are at a point where we really, really need me on a firebrand.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
And
there's
uh,
too much value in a mesmer on a commander on the commander on a mesmer right now, not to
agreed. There's
have that. I believe,
a lot of fucking utility.
there's so much that a commander on a mesmer can offer that's individualized that can help the squad. I believe is much better than putting that on somebody else to do, because there's just too much communication. If you're gonna, I know you talked about who was it with Dark Cloud. You talked about how uh, Nick does a lot of portals, and portals are kind of a bit gimmicky. I think they're kind of fun here and there to do, but they're not something that's really it's not meta. It's not a meta play style, but they're fun. Mesmer offers that, and having the ability to control that situation works really well. I believe the same thing with pulls, like pulls against walls, on walls, etc., clumping people together, promoting the start of a CC, etc. It's kind of good for having.
Yeah, it's a good utility class. It packs a lot of punch, over others, in my opinion.
Yeah, I play it as total support. So unless we're in a scenario that like I need to be our comp, is where we're low in something, I need to put a little bit more damage on. I'll obviously change my build up a bit, but the majority of the time, I'm on a straight support build, which is ironic because I'm on my firebrand right now, just kind of hanging around with people in there.
What days does SOX run?
So we are every day, Monday to Friday, and reset depending.
I still
So I
remember
kind
the
of I'll
reset when we
command
saw
them to
you
stay.
guys and we may have spawn camp Meguma for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Required. Absolute requirement. I mean, like we were on Maguma, and I have absolutely no problem spawn camping them. A lot of talk there that needs to.
They were very salty that we did that.
There's an ocean of salt.
It was
Ocean
hilarious
of
though.
salt. Love it. But yeah, we were on Maguma. On Maguma for a while. But it just became so bad, so toxic there that I couldn't hang. Like we couldn't deal with it. So just forget it. We left. There's some guilds that have managed to stay there and thrive. CTH, you know CTH, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I have no idea. Those guys just put their heads down and go to work, and good on them for sticking there for as long as they are. Ironically enough, I just loaded it on my Mesmer. One of the CTH guys is standing in front of me, but I have no idea how they do what they can do. How they stay there with the way that
I
server
mean,
is, and they
I
just
think,
keep their head down.
yeah, I think they just do their own thing. They don't even stress it.
Yeah,
You know, I don't think they let anyone bother them.
they don't, and that's really good. And it's really, I mean, like I don't listen to map chat and squad chat that much. Or sorry, map chat and team chat. I rarely look at local. I have everybody else do that for me because there's just too much toxicity. If there's a call out, I'll have someone let me know. But I don't. The officers will an officer or let me know. I don't follow that. It was just, and that's because of back in the day with Maguma that it was just constant toxicity. And I think a lot of people have created the different tabs, and I have a SOX tab that is just guild chat, squad chat, and local, which I turn on and off every now and then. And then I have another tab I call it the world. It has local, it has team chat and mat chat on it. Chat, map chat using, and yeah, I very rarely look at the world.
Yeah, I usually don't even type in map or team chat. Like, I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I don't even look at it. Like the tab is I don't even use it. The tab is colored red just so I don't click on it.
No, I mean sometimes like for scouting and stuff. But otherwise, I just don't give a fuck.
I agree. I mean, like I'd rather we have a really good officer and guild leader core. So the guild leaders work together to run the way the guild runs. They, as the lead GL, my job is to create a direction for the guild, and the guild leaders have individualized jobs inside the guild that they do, and the officers ostensibly work as their assistants. So, like just to use it like Twitch. Twitch is his job is to he's HR and PR. So he handles if anyone's got a problem, conflict of interests, conflicts in the guild, someone saying something. He's the one that deals with that, and I don't have to. Dryon's treasury and secretary, so he basically handles all of the money that goes in and out of the guild. If we need siege, if we need to run anything, um, like a raffle or anything, he handles all that stuff with his officer and kind of go from there. And then Katzen, she handles the roster, so roster and recruitment. And her and her officer Zool and her handle recruitment and moving people in and out of the guild. If someone's interested in joining, how the process that they need to go through, as well as the process that to get them kind of up to a level of what they need to know inside of SOX. Builds, who are the class masters, etc., etc.
You have a pretty fleshed out officer bench, a leadership bench.
I think we've done that. All of SOX runs that way, and we've kind of created that governing structure for a couple of reasons. One is, um, so it doesn't allow me to become a dictator. It allows for a little bit more of a democratic system, but still for the ability for the leadership team to have, to work together in a decision. So I can work, as the lead GL, I work with the other guild leaders to make a decision on what is the best, but I drive that conversation forward. I don't know if it works for everyone, but I think it's kept SOX very strong in the fact that I can, like, I left the game for a number of years when my son was born, my daughter was born, etc. Um, and to come back and then come back as, a GL and just watch how the game is, the guild is still running really well because another guild leader stepped up to be the lead GL. Like we had Mezcap as the GL for a while, or Maha. I don't know if anyone that was on JQ remembers Maha. Maha was the lead GL for a while, and she drove the direction of the guild forward. And then to come back and it to still be in a great place with great people in place, and me not have to worry about anything. It was a really great feeling, and I was actually gone for the beginning of HOT, so it was kind of cool to come back and see the guild thriving. But on top of that, see that we have a guild hall and all that stuff and all the things going. It was pretty cool. So
How long is it taking you guys to get to that level, would you say? Where you have that much fleshed out, basically leadership.
we came into Guild Wars 2 with that.
Okay.
So it was
So
something
you
that
you
we
had that
had
many leaders right off the get-go, right out of the gates, like fucking
from go.
2012?
Yeah,
Okay.
from go. We had it was a it's the way that SOX as a community is designed. So it's not just the Guild Wars community. It's it's all of it's all of SOX. So every game will have that SOX has will have that structure, if that makes sense. So
No, it
when we
does.
when we open a new guild, when we open a new game, um, there's thresholds that, like, I said Arcade for a while, so let's go on that. When we open that, um, Barry, who is the guild leader, started off as the guild leader. She opened the guild, she created the guild, and had a couple of officers underneath her. And as the guild progressed got to 20, then she had, the officers then start to get promoted to guild leaders. So there's a council of guild leaders, and then the officers become their assistants underneath them, and that kind of works in the ability to give people um, the ability to flow in and out of the guild, so it's not so one person centralized. So if God forbid something happened, and this is the way I see it, and I've seen it with a lot of other guilds and communities as well. If it's centralized around that one person, and God forbid something happens with that one person, the show's over, and everyone's
Right.
just kind of meandering all over the place like fucking water on a tile floor. You know what I mean? Um, it's having more than one person allows for that distribution of power, and the slow allow that it distributes the burnout, if that's another way of saying it as well.
But you guys make decisions by committee, basically, right? It's a vote, essentially.
Yeah, essentially a vote. But we're I mean, like, and I guild leaders are promoted based on the need of the guild, not how long they've been in the guild or anything of that. Like, if the guild leaders believe that there's a need for the guild at that given time, and we have a guild leader, or there's a person that we have in mind, an individual member in the guild that we have in mind that would be very good at filling that role, they either become a guild leader or an officer, depending on the need of the guild. So it's not necessarily something that I think would work for everyone. But yeah, we work as a council. I do drive things forward. I get told no a lot. I don't mind being told no. I've hired the reason that the other guild leaders are in, are because I respect their opinion. That doesn't mean that they're, and no offense to anyone, but doesn't mean they're necessarily the best player in the game. But they're very good as an individual on what they do. I is when it comes down to being the best player of each class. That's what the class masters are for. That's what you know. My job as the kind of lead GL, and it's my job to be better at kind of understanding where everyone stands. But as far as an officer and a guild leader, their job is more of a managerial role than a skill in the game role. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it offers stability to the guild, so and puts the work spread out between multiple individuals rather than it's all that burden is on one. But you still got to have that philosophy and understanding that's consistent through all the leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to have it comes with a long way. I mean, like, and we've had guild leaders in games that don't get along at all, and they have you have to be do have to be in SOX for 3 months to be an officer, 6 months to be a guild leader, and you have that ability that like we can kind of flush people out a bit, and
Are there
in
actually
that.
people asking to be guild leader nowadays?
Oh yeah, we had a guy
Really?
last night that came out and was like, he's like messaging me. And he's like, I want to join SOX. I'm like, yeah, good on you. What do you got for me? Talk to me about yourself. We're going through the process, and he's like, well, I want to be an officer. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I want to be an officer and a guild leader for SOX. I'm like, okay, hold it together, slow your roll, brother. You got 6 months before you're eligible, and yeah, we kind of went through the process. He wasn't end up being a fit for the guild, which is fine, but yeah, there are people all the time that everyone. I think it's a power thing. You want to be able to get involved, and I have power to be a guild leader,
Hmm.
which is not why we promote people. So if you're gonna come in with the reason that you want to be a guild leader, you're often not the person for the job.
I didn't ask though. What server do you guys play on? So everyone knows.
So we play on SOS right now. We've been SOS has been home base for SOX since release. We were on because we are an Oceanic guild mainly. We started on SOS. We've left. We were, like I said, we were on SOR with you, JQ, Maguma, SF, but we all in between each one. We've always come back to SOS.
And I have to ask, and this has been a thing about GW2 for a long time, and it's not just you guys, but there's always people that complain that all the OCX guilds stack on one server, which happens to be SOS, and has been like that, since, like you said, the beginning of the game. What makes you guys want to stay on SOS versus other servers?
You want to know what? I love this topic. And I knew this was gonna come up. It comes up with everybody, like pretty much that I talk to, because yeah, Sox is on SOS. It's OCX stacked. Why would you want to be there? Spread the love. Blah blah blah. We copped so much heat when we came back from SF after the pre-alliance alliance that we had kind of ostensibly collapsed, and we were on SF for that, and we left and came back to SOS, and I tell you the crap that we copped for it. Oh my god, every OCX guild leader on the planet, like, yeah, every OCX guild leader in the game just gave it to us for weeks. I mean, like, and even the SOS, there was a lot of SOS people that dumped us with salt on us. It was bad. It was
But I mean,
not a fun scenario.
I think at the end of the day, it's your right to play wherever you want, but it is a legitimate question, right? Like,
No,
if
I
there
have no problem with it.
if there's so much OCX on one server, who do you fight against?
There's a lot of good questions. There's a lot of levels into this. So first of all, yes, it is a very good question. I'm a pretty open book. Everyone in SOX knows it. I have no problem. Most people in SOX know my first name. Everyone in the communities heard my daughter at one time or another because, like me, she's loud as hell. Um, but I mean, I'm not. That's not something I stress about. You say there's three things you can't. Well, it used to be two things you can't talk about. Religion, politics, and now the third one's vaccines, apparently. So,
Apparently.
yeah. But I have no problem saying it. Like the reason in talking about things, and as long as the conversation is going to be an educated, understanding conversation, not a directing point fingers at someone because they're a horrible person for not doing what you think they should do. And that's yeah, I have no problem saying it. Yeah, we moved back to SOS because it was home. It's where a lot of our original members were, and when we left and went to SF, a lot of our members didn't go there, and a lot of our SOS, our SOX 2 guild, which is our PVE guild, a lot of those people were there. So the benefit of us going back to SOS was kind of like it was kind of bringing the family back together. We were able to go back to where we were. We did know everybody. It was kind of like going back to home. It was a comfort thing for a lot of people in the guild when the vote came out. Yes, it is. There is a large OCX population. At times, let's be very clear. At times, there's so many people that aren't. Yes, we do have Claire here, and I'm going to hold my opinions to myself about that scenario. Whereas I think my opinion tends to be shared with a lot of other people on that, but I'm not going to go here or there with that. Um, but it's a good it's a good community for SOX. It's where it was home, and
Mm.
that's where the guild elected to go. There was nowhere else that that came up in the nominations of locations to go back to after SOS. Sorry, after SF that were even close in the vote, as close as SOS. So yeah,
I
so when
mean,
the
do
decision
you
came
guys
up,
find enough action playing from SOS? Would you say?
we were outnumbered last night. We were outmanned last night.
Oh, who were
Yeah,
you
we
fighting
can
last night?
FA.
FA has
Varanox,
OCX?
Yeah, you know Varanox from from SF. I don't know if you know.
I don't. What guild are they?
He's
Or is
so
Veranox the guild?
no, Varanox is his name. So
Okay, okay.
his in-game name is Leo. His account name is Leo, but he goes by Varanox in Discord. His so Lect I always get it backwards. Lectal's guild is it's IF,
IV.
right?
IV.
I IV. Sorry. So if it's IV, then their guild is VI. It's the opposite of Lectal's, which
VII, you mean? Spectre?
no, that's a different guild. They're
Oh,
also
okay.
an OCX guild, but no, they used to be RE. They changed the name of the guild. They've gone through a whole bunch of things, but yeah, he's um that's where they're the opposite of Lectal. So they used to be
Hmm.
RE, but yeah. So fought them last night. He opens up he opened up his pin, and it got
FA
fat.
pulls a fucking map queue of OCX?
Brother, it was fat last night. Like
Seriously?
it was like back to old school peel the onion, battles last night. They were
How
really,
many did you
really
guys
good. So it's
pull
cool to
as
watch.
the OCX server?
If there's no, so like on a night where there's no fights, and we haven't had fights because we're in tier 1, and let's face it, there's nothing. Uh, BG will only come out if there's a freaking, if there's a, to back cap, they won't fight in OCX.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there's roamers, they have BG given to them. They have very good roamers. Say that, but there's no real fights in tier 1 in OCX.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our guys are like, let's see what New World looks like. I'm gonna take a bit of a break.
I
Um,
mean, no, nothing wrong with that.
yeah, just for when we were in tier 1. But yeah, other than that, yeah, there's fights. It tends to be more. We have moments where there's more fights, and more. Sox gets outnumbered by pugs, but we are the I I always get very leery with making statements like this because I can be, I get attacked, but can be, I dare to be proven wrong. But I mean, like, I do believe that Sox is the largest regular OCX guild, if that makes sense. There's no, there's other guilds that are out there, and we're all in a community. I think this is kind of something we talk about is the OCX commanders get along really, really well. I really do like all the people that I fight against. Genuinely, I know we talk about Aloon. Aloon she's amazing, maybe because she's American. So take that, everyone else that's in OCX. Two American people running the show over here. She's awesome. Stoyge from what was around for a long time, and he's still in and out. And he's with Aloon and with what now, so he's amazing. There's a lot of other little commanders out there that are here. Atlas, Has from Atlas. She's an awesome person and a really great commander. Someone I really enjoy having conversation with and talking with. We lost Urza a couple months back. He left the game with Late, which was a big hit for OCX because Late is a very big contender very big contender in the GVG world and very good fight guild. So when we lost them, that was kind of a hard pill to swallow for a lot of OCX people.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's plenty of other guilds out there. And then when it gets to a lot of the times, a lot of the C guilds will come on early, especially if they know that we're around. Um, they'll tag up early. People will come on early.
How many OCX skills would you say are out there?
Full active all the time.
Yeah. Well, say
Uh,
at least enough to make a difference.
Enough to make a difference. Yeah, there's enough to make a difference. There's enough that are out there, and I think the problem isn't the guild. The guild isn't the problem. They're guilds. The problem are commanders. Commanders are the big problem, and
Not
I've
enough
said this to you.
commanders.
There's not enough commanders now. That's the big problem. And it's kind of a very Australian thing to be very. Australians are very passive by nature. They're
Really?
like, nah, no worries. Let somebody else do it. Whereas like it's funny. Yes, it is ironic that three of the four,
Passive by
three
nature,
of the
huh?
commanders are American that live in Commando CX.
I never would have thought that they're passive by nature.
Yeah, there's very no worries. Take your time. It was when I moved from Australia, or sorry, to Australia. My biggest thing was that um, the sense of urgency was lacking. It's kind of a joke of the family. It's like, no, no worries. We'll take our time and do it. And I'm like, no, it needs to be done now. Someone do it. Get it together.
Hmm.
And like I said, there's a lot of, and the other thing is, there's a lot of people that have commander tags out there, but don't command,
Right.
or don't would just want to put up a tag and have people follow them, but not be in be in a voice chat, voice comms, or something of that nature. So I said it to you the other day. I think I said it's a statement that I use a lot. It's there's a lot of doctors out there, but only a few practitioners.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people that have the knowledge, but not a lot of people that want to use the knowledge.
I think that's just a general thing in this game, though, not just an OCX problem. To be fair.
I think it's a world problem. I don't think it's a Guild Wars problem. I think it's a real life problem. There's a lot of people out there that want that can do it, but not a lot of people that will do it.
Yeah. And maybe it's a confidence thing, or I don't even know what to attest it to, but
Absolutely.
they need some encouragement. They're
I think it
handheld.
goes back to what you said before. We were talking about before about like the particular personnel that you are, a person you are. Um, you have to be that person that wants it, and there's a lot of people that don't. That could just rather sit back and relax and have somebody else do
Do
it
you think
for them.
that's affected OCX skills, like that mentality where they're so laid back? Do you feel like OCX skills in general are less competitive than NA guilds? Or their C
Um,
counterparts? Or no? Has that
I
affected
think it's
the OCX performance? Let me put it that way. If you
that
put
that's
your
that's
average
that's probably a
OCX
better
guild,
way of saying it.
if you put your
It
average OCX guild versus an NA guild, or average OCX guild versus your average C guild, do you think that kind of the mentality puts them at a slight disadvantage?
I think what's the disadvantage is first is population, and it doesn't really matter whatever way you cut it. Australia's population, you talk about the main OCX or Oceanic time zone, the majority of that population is Australian, okay? And the population of Australia in general is very small. Like I grew up in Connecticut, so I mean like which isn't a huge state. Um but Australia as a population makes Connecticut look like a thriving metropolis, you know?
Hmm.
It's a very so not having the physical population of people living in the country directly impacts the amount of people that will play the game in that country, which means that the smaller the population, the smaller the amount of people, and then it becomes a slippery slope. Like I have this conversation with people all the time. Like, in OCX, how do we keep the population up? How do we keep going? Like, how do we grow the guild? The game, yada yada yada. How do we keep people, playing the game? All these things. Lots of questions around that, and it's a population situation. You know?
But not everyone plays OCX or in SOX is from Australia, right? Like you got people from all over, don't you?
We do, yeah, we do. When we were There was a time when were we on SOR at the time or were we on JQ? I can't remember. We went through. Oh, yeah, we were on SOR because that was when Scorp was there. Scorp was there with me and you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scorpinator.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this kind of growth in socks, and a lot of people that were joining from literally all over the place. And there was a time that we were covering 4 time zones. And we had that's when we had a different guild in each time zone, and that's when uh, Scorp kind of handled the EU stuff, and there was a lot of that big growth. So yes, we do have people all over the world, and a lot of people still came with us at that time. So yeah, we've probably at a regular, normal, everyday Sox raid, we probably have 3 to 4 Americans. I would say there's probably a half a party of Americans, a full party of C, and then the rest are Oceanic. So it's not necessarily all Australian, but the vast majority of the OCX time period is Australian. It's kind of like, they have that spatter of population that comes from another time zone that plays in any time zone. OCX has that as well.
Right. I figured I'd ask. Like a lot of the population, issues. It's not just OCX. C's part of it, U's part of it. It's you just tend to find that most guilds kind of not always, but generally kind of just head towards the same handful of servers. You know what I mean? Like there's C that have been stacking the same like 4 servers since fucking beginning of time
Mm-hmm.
for whatever
Right now,
fucking reason.
we're other than Nice, which is Claire's guild, which is they're a PPT K-Train guild. Let's call it what it is. They won't fight. They'll only just run over you if they're big enough, and that's just the play style that they've created. They're the only other OCX guild on SOS.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
There's a lot of maybe you know how every server is. There's a lot of small people that play here, there, and everywhere.
Right.
But we're the only real organized guilds.
So I think that people that don't know that, and that's including me, I didn't realize there were just 2 guilds on SOS. Like you just come to expect that there's just a massive fucking blob of players nonstop going at it during OCX every single fucking day.
Yeah, everyone expects that, and I think that's become there was a lot of people that taboo is kind of hit, and we are it's an interesting thing. Like I thank you for inviting me, obviously but we are the taboo of Guild Wars. I mean, besides the fact that we are OCX, which is we're the night captors,
Yeah, exactly.
we're
You
the
guys are
enemy,
you guys
we're
are
the
playing
people
when
that.
everyone else is sleeping.
Yeah, it's like what is it? Like, what was someone said it to me before that it was an analogy they made. Like, have you ever worked for a company that had a night shift? And like those people that worked on the night shift were always a bit like they were the night people. They were a little bit scruffier, a little bit like socially a little weird. That's what they're like. They're like that's what OCX is. I'm like, okay, great, thanks. It makes me feel good about who I am now. I
So
can
how
spend more
many
time at the
does
gym.
SOX run a night? Would you say on average?
Between 20 and 25, but on big nights we can go to 35. Like the other
Okay.
night we were at 35.
And then you guys open pin or close pin or?
Depends on the night, the scenario. We do what the server needs. We do close often, especially if we're getting just a lot of the enemy, the other teams are very small, and if we open a pin, the pin will blow up. It will blow up to 35, 40. Very rarely will you get a map queue. I don't think I've ever had 50, or not ever. I haven't had 50 on me in a long time. But
Really?
that being said, yeah, in a long, long time.
See,
But that being
that's
said,
another stereotype that just you guys just run. Not you guys. I mean, like SOS, just runs a full fucking map blob, nonstop. And you're telling me
it
that you
is a
don't.
serious thing because like really in all essence, if we had when we get map queues, we'll only really have map queues maybe 1 or 2 nights a week. Maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, and it's usually because it's our Monday night, which is Sunday night in the U.S. So you'll have those leftover people that are, or sorry, Sunday night, which is the Sunday morning, people are playing, or vice versa. People that are playing off NA time to play. That's what creates the queues, not because of OCX players. There's not enough. It was funny. I had a conversation with you the other day. It's like if we were able to have a large population in SOX of 100+ active people, what would it look like? And what it would look like would be freaking overwhelming for everybody else that plays OCX. Honest to God, would it be? Like we're big right now. I mean, we get I mean, every big guild gets it, but like we get it all the time. Oh, SOX is a blob. They're a blob guild. This, that, and the other. And yeah, we're big in the OCX terms, but in the terms of the guild, I think we're a smaller guild.
Yeah, I mean, like, Pugs runs 50-50, Flux runs 50-50, Jade runs 50-50. On reset night, OP runs 50-50, but only on reset. I mean, there's much, much larger guilds out there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But there's not larger guilds in our time
Time
zone.
zone. Okay, so you are the largest OCX guild in the game.
I mean, someone on. I mean, I'm sure I'll get it from someone that's watching on Twitch, or someone will later will message me. I'm sure, and I'll be able to hear from it that Squirrel's liar. He's not the biggest guild, but I put it this way: I don't think that there's no one out there that fights regularly that's bigger than us. I mean, yeah, Nice may put together a big 50-50 guild, but they. And no offense to Claire, but that's what they do. They just K train. They will run from fights. They'll knock walls down and then leave, and that's it. They're not into it to fight.
Yeah,
We
I
are
mean,
the largest
to each
fight
their own.
guild.
If that's what they have
Yeah,
fun doing, that's what
absolutely.
they have fun doing.
Yeah,
Far be
and
it
and
from us.
they have well, exactly, and they have the ability to do that. If you wanted to do that in OCX, you could. You very much could, because there's not the population to fight that. So if you had a 50-50 guild in OCX, there's nothing anyone can do about it. You would just be a K train, because no one would want to fight you. Everyone would just run from you, and um, there's no amount of defense that would be able to put up against stopping.
I think I asked you this, but you guys run almost every day, right?
Monday to sorry, I might not answer that. Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We do start a little bit early. We will go a little bit later than that, but ostensibly 2 hours Monday to Friday, and then some resets.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen you guys on during reset a bunch, which is cool, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, mainly we do it because SOS has very little to no NA. Depending on guilds on and off. VR was here for a while. Boys was here for a while.
They're
But
still there. Aren't they
outside
still
of
there on YB or no?
yeah, YB, but not SOS.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if we don't have a good link, a good NA link, we have nothing.
Right.
Like YB is a good NA link for us because they do have that population. But when we were with like SF, which is our previous link, SF has Void, CBO, the remains of RX, and that's it. So their NA was a struggle town. So you put their NA with our NA, and it's like there's 3 guilds. That's it. There's nothing, and they'll struggle to get a map queue or 2.
What has been your most? Let me ask you this 2 ways. What's been the most fun server you've been linked to, and what's been the most powerful combo that you've been linked to?
Since on SOS
On SOS,
or
yeah.
all up in the game.
No, SOS.
Well, YB is a good link for us because they do have that NA population. So they are a good link. There are a couple of servers that are really bad links. I think and I hate to say, point out servers and say their servers are bad, but I mean, like they've come up in earlier, earlier commander chats. So yeah, you had brought some of them up, but yeah, some of them may start with D.
And when and when I say bad, I don't mean like they're bad people. I mean that they're disorganized. There's not a lot of fucking,
So they're bad.
production
They're
out
just
of
full
their.
of bads.
No. They're just they're
bad.
just extremely
They're good at being bad.
disorganized. Alright, fine. They're fucking bad, bro.
They're bads. They're good
just
people,
fucking.
bad players.
They're good people, bad players. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And you're right. I agree. I don't think that there's there's a few there's particularly one server that's insanely toxic, which is unfair, to point a finger at that. But there is one server that I believe is ridiculously toxic.
Maguma?
I Yes, I have no problem saying it. It's why we left. Mag is freaking toxic as hell. Like, we left it for a reason. Um, and they think they're the greatest thing on the planet. So good on them for that. You got to be thinking you're the best if no one else does, at least, right? But that being said, I don't think there's anyone that's bad servers. It's just the way the game is right now. Unfortunately, you have servers that are going to be less populated, and because of that, they're just not going to have the skill slash population to create anything that's going to be competitive. Who was it that you were talking to? There's another commander that was saying that they had I can't remember what server it was. They had TeamSpeak and they
Dragon
had
Brand,
server
bro.
meetings.
Dragon Brand, bro.
It starts with a D. They qualify.
The fucking server meetings, and at the end of the server meetings, they ask for donations to pay for the TeamSpeak. It's the
Good.
fucking worst.
That's a thing. I heard that when you said your reaction to it was exactly what mine was. I was like, you guys fucking linked with them, slipped into a time warp. you know,
Like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, you go to just type it out what map people are going to and how many, and then at the end of the day, like, use Discord. Like, you don't gotta meet for an hour to figure out where the fuck everyone's gonna go for reset.
hey, listen, if they feel that they need to do that and it organizes them, maybe they
Oh
should
my
really.
god.
I don't know.
Like,
It's a bad move.
if you're gonna go through all that, you better be the most fucking organized server in the universe. But clearly they're not. They're the most disorganized server out there. So I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about for an hour a week, every Friday. But fuck, dude, they must be exchanging recipes or something.
Recipes for what? Like home cooked meals. Not freaking obviously. Not even obviously recipes for actual Guild Wars cooking because their food is off too. I remember we played with them and looking at some of the food these guys are running. I'm like, is that a build that I'm not aware of? Is that like a fringe build that I'm not aware of yet? So then they go down on ink and you're like, something. Got it. Understand it. Yeah, no, YB's a good link. I haven't been linked. We haven't been linked with DR since you've been there. Not that I remember, at least.
Wait, what'd you say?
We haven't been linked with you.
No, we
At
haven't. We haven't. We
DR.
haven't. We haven't. Not yet.
So, yeah.
Not yet. Not yet. But it could be interesting. Like I like being linked with servers that have no NAs. That way, I just have my run at it.
Oh, you may get that food sooner than you know.
Like right now, NSP, like while NSP is kind of like a whatever server, they have no NA. So basically, during NA time, I can hop all 4 maps, and just do whatever the fuck I want. And it's
Yeah.
pretty fantastic.
Well, it's cool because like during OCX, that's kind of the way it is. Like I think you ask somebody else like, "What's your favorite map? Where do you play? Do you hate Alpine?" Yeah, I hate Alpine. Okay, I'm sorry, not Alpine. Desert BL, Red BL. I will never forget, and I have to be very careful the way I word this, but I will never forget that when I learned of the way that the BLs were going to change, and I was on SOR at the time, and I brought this up a couple of times, but I have to be careful the way I say it right now because we are on stream. But I remember learning about it, and the first thing I did was literally run into SOR Discord at the time and literally say to you, Indo, the game's ruined.
Well,
It's like, the game is going to be ruined by this horrible new map that they're going to release. And it's true. Oh, I just got run over by pugs.
yeah, that map is a fucking shit show, bro. Like an absolute fucking shit show.
Yep. Yeah, it's bad. It is bad. I mean, like some people say it's good for the game. It's good. And who was it? Was it Dark Cloud that brought up and said, hey, he wants a different map that would, to kind of change it, keep it desert and alpine, and maybe like I was thinking from that, like maybe a snow EBL or something of that kind. Okay, that sounds like a cool idea.
Well, a snowy BL, isn't that Alpine? Isn't that what Alpine is meant to be? A snow BL. The desert is meant to be a desert BL. Like you think that they do like a jungle BL or fucking something else, right? To get a
Well,
different biome in there.
isn't the center of desert BL supposed to be a jungle? I mean, like, I don't
I
even think they know what they
guess.
want right now.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
don't even know. That's where the
I need
dinosaur
another
event
vacation.
was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that was a good. Another good. You had brought that up before. You'd said like bring back the orbs and stuff. The orbs are great. They just had to fix them, and in typical ANET style, it was easier just to just shit can them than to fix them.
Yeah, I mean they just. The hilarious part about it is like they said they're gonna remove it, right? And then they remove it, saying that they're gonna bring it back once they fix it. But then they don't bring it back. Like it's just gone. Same thing with the dinosaur event. If you remember, they said the same shit. Like we're gonna disable the dinosaur event until we can fix the lag issues. And fucking 6 years later, there's still no dinosaur event. Fucking 9 years later, there's still no orbs. Hello,
Mm-hmm.
Anet. Hello.
Yep. And I think there's high value in that. Like you'd spoken before about like having other events and how that could grow World v World. And I think the greatest population that, granted it was early in the game, but helped the people to want to play. People want to go into World v World or choose to go into World v World, I should say, is when there's a reason for the PVE people to play World v World. Like, mounts are out, or there's a new trinket that they can get, legendary trinket or something of that nature. So what's the benefit to PvE players to actually give World v World a crack? You know what I mean? Give it a shot, play it. And part of that, in my opinion, would be a good idea for that would be, what's the, if there was a tangible, not tangible, that's the wrong word, because I don't want another legendary item people come in and play for 2 weeks, but like a buff or something that if you played World v World for, say, 2 hours, and you were part of the team that claimed SMC, you get a buff that you can then take into PvP or World v or PvE. It's something of that nature that allowed that kind of cross play platform scenario to worthwhile for those PvE players. You know what I mean?
But here's the problem as I see it, right? Like I agree with you. Getting TV years into the mix would be freaking amazing. But in this day and age, like unless you're organized on Discord, like even a zerg of fucking a map queue of PvE players that don't know what
Won't
the
stand
fuck
a
they're doing,
chance.
they're just fucking fodder for guilds like yours and guilds like mine and guilds like, all these other World v World guilds. Like it's just straight fodder. Like it's not even a competition. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, I absolutely agree, but I mean, like, if you're part, and you're a different player, where I think we're, as World v World players, we're ostensibly different, inherently different. But I think at that same point, if you were part of that and you were part of the fodder that was just, and there are guilds that are PVX guilds that are out there, right? That, um, that are just fodder, right? If you were part of that for long enough and saw a guild like OP or Flux or Pugs or any of the really cool, good World v World guilds that are out there that are organized, and you're running next to them and you're getting absolutely torn apart and just you know freaking double ended, you'd think to yourself, hmm, maybe I can play with that other guild just for World v World. How would that be?
you
And
would think. You would think,
you
but
know,
there's monkey brain in this game. I've found that just some people just enjoy being stubborn and being bad at the game. Like like just
absolutely,
getting pugs onto like a comms to get organized against an organized map blob. Like it's fucking like pulling teeth on certain servers. Like there's certain servers that are really good at like FA,
FA's
BG.
really good. Fuck him,
Um,
I hate it. Sorry, no offense. FA drives me nuts because like last night was a prime example. Like, freaking Vernox was like, he's like, yeah, he had a map blob and his freaking Discord had like 50 to 60 people in it, and I'm like, God damn. Like we had like 25 socks on, and then like 5 or 6 pugs that were in Discord. And then that was the show. That was it. We were winning fights, but it was a scary scenario.
And there's certain servers that are just they just got it. Like even JQ had a high comms participation, and then you got like shit servers like DB, CD, even NSP has a garbage comms participation. They're just these servers that just I don't even fucking know like what the fuck is going on, but they got queues of people out but they never join fucking comms. It's just a shit
Hmm.
show. That's the only way I can describe it. An absolute fucking shit show.
Yep, I totally agree, and it's a you have a double edge with that because they're not in comms, but they're probably not in comms, and they're probably not running a meta build.
Right.
So I mean, like you see people, you add them to the squad, they jump in the squad or whatever. Or, if you're running an open pin, they'll jump in, and you look at what they're not in Discord. And for SOX, we run differently. If you're not in Discord, you're gonna hang out in party one. You can float around until in party one until you're in Discord. Then I'll move you down. I don't know how many other guilds do that, but that's what we do. And I'll see someone in Discord. Someone say, yeah, I'm in Discord, and then I look at, just kind of peep their build a little bit, and it's like, hey, brother, where did you get that from? Like, oh, I used to use this. I'm just coming back to the game, and I used to use it, back before HOT, and it was the shit. This Guardian build. Okay, there's been a few updates to the game. We may want to take a look at that. No, it's the best.
I mean, I don't mind new players. Like, I have zero problem with new players. I have zero problem with inexperienced players. I have zero problem with like PV players. What bothers me is that they don't take even step one to try to learn the meta or to improve. And it's such a double standard because if you went into PV to do raids or strike missions or whatever the fuck, you're expected to have done the, more often than not, you're expected to have done the fucking thing before, watched a YouTube video, and be on the right build and or class. Right?
Hmm.
So where's that fucking standard when you walk into World v World? Like fucking you just expect to play whatever the fuck you want, do whatever the fuck you want? Like come on. Come on.
Yep, I
And
agree.
then they get
I
pissed when you
100%
don't
agree.
want their fucking shitty ranger or thief or garbage class in your squad. Like, I mean, you don't want to join comms. You don't want to play the right build. It's a team sport right here, and then you expect to be in the fucking group, and then you whine when you don't get in there. Like, come on, man.
Oh, freaking World v World's a spectator sport. I say that all the time. I was like, it gives me the shits. I call like when someone lays down dead on the ground. It's that's a pet peeve of mine. Okay, a pet peeve of mine is someone dying and laying dead on the ground. You know, double down on the ground. It's a pet peeve of mine. And I'm like, I say it all the time. World v World is not a spectator sport. Freaking, if you want to be part of it, get off your ass and fucking make it happen, right? And they don't. You're absolutely right. People are just like, oh, I can just use any build. Yeah, I used this 3,000 years ago. When this was happening and it was great. Okay. Get in Discord, ask some questions, and there are people that do that, and that's why we're able to grow, and SOX does keep growing. And part of some other guilds that are in OCX do not or have had struggles to grow is because they only want people that are highly educated, play the game a lot, know what they're doing. Whereas I don't really care. I mean, like we have class. That's the job of our class masters. Okay, when they come in, they could have absolutely no knowledge of the game of World v World, and come in, be part of the scenario with us. Hang out in a lower party. We'll get you a build. I have people. If you join SOX and you're in, we'll pay for your build. We have the cash. We have 3 guilds full of cash. We'll pay for your guild. We'll help you get better if you're gonna put in the time to want to do that. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna come to raid, if you're gonna come to training, if you're gonna sit down and spend time with the class master, I have no problem. We have no problem doing that for you. But it's those people that, like you said, that don't care and will just kind of hang out.
Yeah, I mean, and they just expect to be coddled.
Hmm. Well, yeah, exactly. Coddled, but even on top of that, they want to be coddled, but they want to have, they expect, and this is, yeah, there's some guilds that are like this, that just expect, I run into World v World, I can roll whatever I want, and we're gonna be able to, win. This isn't a meta event, you know what I mean? It's not a PvE meta event. You're
Yeah,
not
but
gonna be able
even
to.
yeah, like outside of meta events, like I said, for raids, strike missions, even fractals, they expect you to run a certain build. They expect you to run a
Hmm.
certain class. World v World is no
Absolutely.
different.
Well, that's what it seems like. It seems like
It's a nice double
it is
standard, if
that.
you ask me.
I agree. I 100% agree, but it's like that thought that it's World v World is just a big PVE meta event. And that's not what it is. It's its own playstyle. You don't go to PVE, or sorry, PvP, and run a PVE build, and you're gonna expect to do it well. You're gonna get stomped on. Same.
Yeah. Speaking of
Well,
meta and that, who does the theory crafting for SOX? Or do you guys run the public builds that are posted? Do you guys run your own little meta? Is it something in between?
it's close to meta. There's a few things off, like the meta battle builds. You know, everyone looks at those. You know what I mean? Like, if you come into the guild with those, you're 99% of the way there. You know, we do change a few things up because of the way that we are OCX. You know, we're not gonna ever have 50 people on us, so we're not gonna be able to have to, you know, it would be a dream to run everything that NA has, but it's never going to happen. So we do have to modify things a little bit. It's kind of like a combination between a roaming scenario is a small guild builds. So yeah, but where does it come from? As in everything from SOX, it comes a lot from me
Through committee.
sorry.
Through committee.
Yeah, through committee, but a lot of it comes from me. It's driven by me. Um, driven by me. You know, back when we had Scorp around, Scorp and I would sit down and yell at each other. Him and I, there was no. I highly respect Scorp. Great guy. He will come if he comes back to the game and wants to, comes back to NA and wants to play again. With the NA teams, yeah, he'd go right back to guild leader again. I have no problem re-promoting him. But him and I didn't really get along well with a lot of things, and that doesn't mean that I didn't respect him. I highly respect people that I can talk to and not agree with. But him and I would sit down and fight for weeks about builds.
Really?
And then, yeah, and then we would finally.
But that's
come
probably
up with
because there was an
something.
arc DPS back then, so you couldn't let the data be the driver. Right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. There wasn't that arc DPS where you could see, okay, that's where it grows. Now, it's pretty. I mean, there are a few. Just like the way Meta Battle has it. You know, you have the meta builds, you have good builds, and then you have those fringe builds. You know, and that's not fair to the guild and World in general. If you're playing fringe build and expecting to get the action out of it that you get at it. Yeah, most of it comes from me, class masters. There's a couple of people else in the guild that don't want to have a role or a rank, and are highly experienced and can see globally as a build, because guild builds aren't. I say it all the time. Builds in World are not a standalone build. They are synchronized. You have to sync them
Right.
up. So if you have to be able
It's a
to
team-based sport.
see, yeah, you have to be able to see globally. You know, you have to see, okay, if I do this, this class is going to be able to do this, which is going to help us do this.
Thanks, Snugglebug. I
So,
didn't have many people, but thanks
yeah,
for the fights.
I don't know. So I have a question for you, Indo. As I look at my
Yes.
notepad right here in front of
Oh
me, where did you
no.
get your name from? And I have no problem sharing where I got mine from, but I want to. Where did you get your name from?
So my name is from Dark Age of Camelot, way back in like 2000, 2001. I actually I lived in the Caribbean back then,
Mm-hmm.
and we smoked a lot of weed. So fucking
You smoked the Indo.
smoked the Indo.
And a
So
boy.
that was
Did you?
that's where Indo came from.
Very good. Do you live
In
in the
Boston,
United
yeah,
States?
yeah,
You live in Boston.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I went to school up there.
Oh, did you? What school?
So I went to so I spent part of my time in BC, and then I also went to I graduated from Franklin Pierce University, which is in New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I went to BU. I went for my undergrad.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'm
I've
a
had the
huge
name
Red Sox
Indo.
fan, and that's another reason why Sox is titled Sox. I'm a huge Red Sox fan. It worked out well.
It did work out well. But yeah, so that's where the name came from. I've had it since 01 though, like from my Scald back in Midgard Guinevere was the server I played on. Awesome
Yeah,
game. Awesome game.
mine came from a similar time. Real life, similar, same thing. Real life, similar time.
Where did the killer squirrel come from though? Were you just fucking
Well, the
killing
squirrel was
squirrels
what it
or?
was. Yeah, right. Squirrel. Yeah, well, my brother. It's funny because my brother's full-time real job is a taxidermist, so it's kind of ironic. But no, uh, the long and short story of it is the killer part got added on when I joined a larger community that the name Squirrel was taken when I joined
So
the
you had to
older gamers. The
differentiate
name was
yourself
taken.
from the other squirrel. So you chose Killer
I
Squirrel.
put actually I think somebody else put Killer in front of it, not me. But that's how it grew to be Killer Squirrel. But it was originally Squirrel, and I got given the nickname. Um, in college I played ice hockey, I played hockey, and I was on the played on the team, my college team, and not at BC. After I left BC, I went to when I was at Franklin Pierce. I played with them, and we were playing. I can't remember the team we were playing, but we were. Uh, we were going against another team, and I was pretty fast, and I slid between the boards and a guy that was trying to hit me, and some big redneck dude in the stand stood up and goes, "You can't hit him! He's fast like a squirrel!" And that was it. The newspaper got a hold of it and nicknamed me the Squirrel, and then everyone in college started calling me Squirrel. That was it.
Hmm. Interesting.
Like became my real life nickname. And there's some people that I've played video games with that I knew in real life that knew me as that was my college nickname and still refer to me as that.
Killer Squirrel?
Just a squirrel, just a squirrel.
It's a
The killer
squirrel.
part got added. So and all my characters in game and in Guild Wars all have squirrel on them at some form or another. Like
What other
they're
adjectives are you using besides killer though? Like what else do you put before squirrel besides killer?
sorry, like my necro is undead. My
Undead squirrel. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah. So there's a couple of them that are out there that exist. My mesmer is squirrel hallucinates. So yeah, there's a couple of, and I had to with hallucinates I have to change up the spelling of it a bit, but yeah, it's different.
So should I have named this fucking stream squirrel instead of
You can
kill
name it
squirrel?
Killer Squirrel. Everyone knows me as Killer Squirrel, so you can name me as that if you wish.
But from now on, just going by squirrel is enough.
Yeah, Squirrel. Everyone calls me Squirrel. I mean, like,
Okay, fair
it's funny
enough.
when I hear someone call me Killer, and I'm like, it's kind of like I take a step back. It's like when someone calls you by your last name, thinking it's your first name, kind of thing.
All right.
But yeah. Anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time. I do have a couple. I do want to ask you a couple of things. Yeah, we talked about changes, so we did talk about that, like an advantage of PvE and PvE. That was one thing you brought up. But one thing of a commander is one thing you've asked before. So I'm going off that because I have to leave fairly soon. Um, of a commander, what I would ask for, when do you target individual players often, like mark
No,
players?
I only
Okay, so
mark the commander so that people can see where the head is.
yep.
But I don't mark the commander to get pin sniped or anything. We don't pin snipe, but just
No,
so
neither do
where
we.
they can see where the blob is. But I don't mark
No, I don't.
individual
I don't.
players. Do you?
We do for single target attack, especially during GVGs or
Okay.
when we're kind of raid v raid individual guilds that we do. So yes, so we will mark it, but never the command. I don't even mark the commander. I don't want to know where the commander is. We should. I believe we should be able to react without knowing where the commander is. So we don't, but we will. We have targets that we want to select and want to hit, and I do think it would be a good idea to have that instead of having the control click on them, having the ability to that marker is a target, but it can be abused in the same fashion that pin sniping
So
would
you
be.
basically you want like a squad wide target.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean that would be cool, but I think basically that's just asking for the entire squad to just pin snipe the fuck out of someone. Just having seeing certain guilds would or your groups would fucking abuse the shit out of that.
Oh, they would. I mean, I totally understand that, but I think that would happen anyways. I mean, I think that now if you know the commander's there, for everyone that doesn't know and that joins Pugs as a thing, and they see a target on that person's head, they're gonna put damage in that place. They're gonna hit that person. So it's much of a muchness, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Maybe it wouldn't be. You never know. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I would like that.
What other
Like I said
tools?
before, some advantage across worldview from World v World that you get into other classes, in PvE or PvP to kind of bring some more new people in. And yeah, I liked your
Or
ideas with
or
meta
or make
events.
skin, you like even if they don't want to do that, if they made World v World exclusive skins that you could only get in World v World, like you can only get in fucking raids, like you can only get in strike missions, like you can
Yeah.
only get it in open world, like you can only get in, PvP. Why not give it to World v World too? Some World v World specific skins that are actually good, and then people will come into World v World for the skins.
Yep. No, I agree. And it would make those worth a high cash value that would make it worth people in the game
Or
wanting
don't
to
even make
play.
it tradable. Just make it
Yeah, that's
like
fine.
really
Don't make
really
it tradable.
fucking cool, and then people are will World v World if they want the skin.
Well, you have the what's that infusion you have that the the ribbon one? What is it called? It's got the ribbons that go around you and
The
confetti.
confetti. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's worth a small fortune. I mean, like you actually buy a server, you get that. I mean, like if you that's how you got it. Like you owned SOR for so long, they just gave you that. That's why, right?
Well, I didn't get this on SOR. I got a bunch of legendaries on SOR, but the infusions I got recently from someone who plays on DR with us, who's just really appreciates what we do over here. So they gifted it to one to me, one to Tiff for Christmas.
Oh, that's really cool. They are worth a small fortune, like 10,000 gold right now.
Oh wow, really?
Something insanity, if I remember.
Yeah,
Don't quote me. I don't know.
I
I'm
was
not on the up and
did
up on this stuff.
the the which one? The confetti one and the queen bee and the chalk.
Yeah, yeah,
I
those things are
got one
ridiculous.
queen bee, one chalk, and one confetti. I was gifted all three of those.
So, yeah, they're cool. I mean, like, but something like that would be cool too, because you see, if you got it as a World v World player and it dropped, it'd be like you're in the money.
Yeah, absolutely. Like make a really, really low chance, but fucking let them drop in World v World. Who gives a fuck?
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be super low because there's not that many people that play it enough to make it impactful. But yeah, something different like that. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. But
I gotta ask you these two questions though, and then you can
yep,
go
go for
over
it.
who's your biggest rival during OCX? Who is it? Who is like, all right, they're up here, guys. You guys gotta fucking bring your A game. We're gonna be brawling.
Well, lag or late used to be. Late used to be before Urza left the game. They were like always good. Lag is always a good fight unless we're super outnumbered. We super outnumber them, and we tend to because we're bigger. They may only pull 15. At the best of times 20. So we will outnumber them. Um, they're there are a couple of other smaller guilds out there where HOD used to be, have a pretty good scenario. Rear used to be pretty good. They kind of run from us now. They don't really fight us. Yeah, that's kind of the surface of it. There's not a ton of guilds that like to go nose to nose, repetitively over and over again with us. And I mean, I'm wrong, but like I want more of it. I would love for it to be more. I want more guilds to be like, hey, Squirrel, like let's get in touch with Squirrel and Aloon, and let's fight some. I mean, like Aloon and I and Has from over there go. Thank you, my daughter. My daughter just brought in a Pop Tart for me.
Ooh, what kind of Pop Tart? This is an important question.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second, my daughter, and then I will come out. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
What kind of Pop Tart? This is probably the
Oh,
most. Oh wait. This is probably the most important question of the night. What kind of Pop Tart
yes.
are you about to eat?
I'm not gonna eat it. She just brought it to me because I think she pulled it out of the pantry. But this is a strawberry Pop Tart that I have in my hand right now.
Just plain strawberry, no frosting on it. Just
Oh yeah, it's one
strawberry
of those
Pop.
strawberry
Okay,
frosted
okay.
ones.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
we're not savages down here in Australia.
Who's your least favorite? So since you gotta go, I'm gonna try to knock out as many of these as I can. I'm gonna pick up the
Go for
pace.
it. Yeah, go for it.
Who's your least favorite commander to fight? Who are you when you fight him? You're just like, fuck this dude.
As like I don't get along with them as a person, or as I don't like to fight them because they're just really really good.
How about both?
Okay, as a person, there's one particular guild that we don't get along with. That I don't get along. So Hamo's a really good commander. I'll preface it with that. Hamo's a really good guy, really good commander. I
What
like
guild
him.
is that?
Um, it's Bob.
Okay.
And Hamo's a really good guy, but I dislike the guild leader there. I'm gonna cop shit for it but he knows it. Like, we don't get along. We had it out really bad when SOX went to SOS. But then yeah, we had some issues there. But as far as the other ones, like I really do get along with all the commanders in OCX. We have our own Discord that we all talk in. We set up fights. We make sure that if we're not getting content, we create content in the OTM. It's really good for that because there's not a lot of us out there, so we do have to kind of work together to create content, really. So I don't know if I have one. I like to fight a Loon. I think she's a very good player. I think she's a very good commander. She's got a lot going for her and her guild, and I think that's cool.
What guild is she?
She's Lag. They're in the
Okay, like
Pugs
okay,
Alliance.
okay.
Yeah. But they're just, I mean, like, and it's not a problem. It's what they're going for, but they're a small guild. So to go against SOX when we have 30 to 35 and they're 15, it's,
Right.
I have to, it's not fair. So.
What are your thoughts on the direction ANET is taking World v World?
Are we allowed to? We have to watch this space, right? I'm not allowed to talk anything, so it's good. I think alliances are good. I think it's probably it's too little, too late, unfortunately. I mean, like if this was 6 years ago, it'd be great, but I have to, yeah.
So
It's
your
great.
position is like it's fine what they're doing, but they need to be doing more. Would you say?
Absolutely, 100%. Like it's just too. This is
Saying
World v. World is
alliances
the
and
kill.
being done with it is not enough.
No, if it is too little, and it's too little and too late. Like alliances is not going to solve the problem of World v. World. There's gonna other things that need to happen. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be the ability for people to, have the benefit to want to come to World v. World. What's the real reason people come to World v. World other than they're competitive? If they're competitive, then they can be a roamer. If they're a roamer, they can do that in PvP. If they just want to put, damage on something, they can do meta events. So what's the real reason other than the fact that they want to have a little bit, that extra competitive edge of fighting against another human that's going to be thinking outside the box? They have to have that real reason, and that's me justifying that in a small mind. That's not me saying that as the way I feel about it. World v. World is the only play I play. Okay, so everyone that knows me, to get me into to PvE is like it's like kicking and screaming. It's a fight. You usually I have to portal to friend. I will complain about it endlessly. I don't play PvE at all. Okay, I will occasionally play PvP, but I literally just the other day got my roller beetle mount in World v. World. I mean in PvE, that's it. That's how little I play the game.
I don't even have that.
Yeah, the reason I got it was because I basically everyone was like just portal the friend to everything. They're like, let's get it for Squirrel. It was a team event. So yes, there needs to be things that are added to it. Alliances are going to solve the population problem. Should solve the population problem. But there's other problems with draw into the game that are going to be a problem for people that need to be addressed.
And what would you like them? What would you like to? What would you like you to see from ANET?
Well, we said that, like we had said, like a couple of things, like you said, like some reason that, like PVE players to give a benefit to PVE and PvP players to come into World v. World, whether it be like an item that you can only get in World v. World or a
But that's just gonna
uh,
bring players in. Like, what's gonna keep them here?
yeah, that's what I said. Like maybe is it a buff? Like you said, like in that meta event, like you talked about meta events and other commander chats. Is there a meta event or an event that people can be part of? And then once they're part of it, they get like a kind of similar to the like an area buff, like the tower buff. The the objective buff that you get from being near a tower. Maybe you get that, and you can take that buff into PVE for an hour or so. Whatever it is, you participated in an hour of World v. World, and you were successful doing X, Y, and Z, and because of that, you get this buff, and this buff will be able to help you in PvE, for an hour, we'll say. Something that'll give the benefit to other people. That why would you want to be in PvE or World v. World for an hour? If you were in World v. World for an hour, then and you were successful and took Stone Mist or the I don't know, the dinosaur event or something like that, then you could then take that buff that you got from that into PvE, and whether it be, damage or
Yeah.
magic
I
find,
still
whatever.
would love to see like a sub-objective on every map. Like,
I agree. I
I don't
totally
know.
agree. But then if you translated that sub objective to something that was usable in PvE,
PvE. Yeah,
people
yeah,
would
get more people for sure. Yes.
people would come out into PvE, come from PvE to
Into
World v World to do that event, making the event successful, and then they could bring that back into PvE and be like, okay, oh, you just did that, you have this big buff, now you can go and do a raid and increase your chance of getting who knows what. I don't even know. What do you get in raids? Who knows? I don't even play it.
I think just skins and gear, like skins and legendaries. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be great. Anything on your wish list? Anything else on your wish list?
Um, no, I think that's it. Like, there's a lot of you talked about like commanders, like what would you want as a commander, and like
Mm-hmm.
I think really that just that squad, single squad target, and I think when you get to 50-man groups or 50-50s, you target a single player, that dude's smoked. But if you're at like you're at 15 to 20 and you're targeting that person, they their team, their party and squad is working well together. It causes a little bit of push to make it happen.
Right. I still have reservations on it, but yeah, could be interesting. Could be interesting.
Yeah, I understand why there would be reservations, but I mean, like for us, we do it all the time. So especially in GVGs, you're doing it. You're single target.
Right.
When you're
Yeah,
50-50,
GVGs you do it. In GVGs you do it, but I don't know,
yeah.
like a 50 man just targeting one person.
Oh,
That'd
it's
be
over now.
fucking
There's no
brutal.
point in it in a 50-man. You put it in an area, like you area mark, and you're like, I want damage here. You're gonna get downs. But when you're even numbers of 20v20 or 25 or 15, things get a little bit more focused. Yeah.
Um, what about game balance? What's your opinion? Current game balance?
I agree with you. We anyone that's played this game since release, this is the most balanced, even across the board that it's ever been. Bottom
Yeah,
line, we were talking about this last
without
night.
question. Without question.
We were talking about it last night, and they're like, "Oh, it's no fair." Oh, what about how Rangers can pew pew? Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Um, hold on one second. Sorry, I really do have to go. I
That's
have
fine.
to get my son from
Let's
school.
do this. I'll leave it here. But what I'm gonna
You
do
have the
is
Discord. Yeah, you
we're
have the
doing
SOX Discord.
we're doing a roundtable towards Christmas time. Make
Yep.
sure that you're there so that we can finish the last handful of questions and also be part of the roundtable with all the commanders that I've interviewed to date.
Yep, sounds good. That sounds
All
good. Well,
right.
thanks
I
for having me on.
appreciate you.
You have
No,
my
thanks for.
Discord information. Anyone that's in OCX and wants to join SOX, yeah, it's SOX Discord. I'm sure Indo's got it, and he'll be able to share
If
the
someone
link.
I'll put it in Twitch. Is there anything you want to say before you leave? You're recruiting.
No, thanks
People
for
are welcome
having
to
me.
join.
SOX is OCX, and if you're an OCX player or played during that that time period, I would love to have you. That's it. So,
Sounds good to me.
thanks so much for having me, buddy. I'm
All right,
sorry I
brother.
do have to run.
No, no, no. Take it easy. Real life first.
Later, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Deuces.